um, section 2.1, chemical reactions and energy. From here, as you see, we should know what's flow of energy. And the second one, what is the reactant and product, and the meaning of two-direction arrow, this is so important. And fourth one, what is reduction and oxidation, redox. And finally, oxymoron. Let's get started. And as we know, as we learned, one of the important characteristic of living organism is energy using. Energy is so important for all of the living organisms. But what is our main energy source, or what living organisms take energy? And these are so important. Because of that, I would like to show this picture. Let me firstly. Okay. I think our main energy source is sun, and then plants use sunlight. Plants use sunlight, and then they produce oxygen, glucose. The name of this process, the reaction, is photosynthesis. Thanks. And then plants produces oxygen plus mass glucose. Thanks. And then plant eaters eat, as you know, plants. And then this energy passes to the plant eaters. When a kind of meat eater eats plant eater, this energy passes to the, again, what? Meat eaters. This energy flow, there is a question from the what question bank, or I don't know, where is it? There's a question. In what direction does energy flow? A, some plants, plant eater, meat eater. B, plant, sun, plant eater, and meat eater. C, plant eater, plant, sun, meat eater. Which one? D, sun, plants, meat eater, and plant eater. What's that? First one, first step should be sun. Then plants. Thanks. And then
Plant eater.
Okay, plant eaters. And last one, meat eaters. What about the next level? Do you know?
Teacher
And this is the question. This part is important, okay? And also energy pyramid, producers, consumers, and decomposers. Okay. Yes. Fine. And the second part, chemical reactions. In here, firstly, we should classify the reactions. Chemical reactions. Chemical reactions. First one, oxidation, reduction. Second one was,
condensation. And the final and those, and then condensation.
And hexagonal. The last word?
Condensation.
And hydrolysis.
Okay, thanks. Condensation.
Teacher in our Olympic book, it writes dehydration.
Okay, there are some other names. Yes, condensation and dehydration, both are same. Okay, thanks.
Gas to solid, and dehydration is from salt, liquid.
Let's get started from the oxidation reduction. There's a special thing for understanding.
Tear it down.
Understand? Okay. multiply this. Leo, these are so important. Leo, Kajim, says, yeah, okay, just Leo, and this is lose electron oxidation. And what about this? GER, gain electron reduction. And in here we can give this example, for example, sodium plus chlorine, and also sodium chloride. This is plus, this is minus. Which, I mean, sodium.
You can screen record it.
Yeah, he's already recording.
I know, no, I know, but
So what about this?
There's a problem.
It's recording over here. 1 minute and 2 seconds.
Okay.
So
And
Che, you
then-
stopped it right now.
Off.
Che, it was recording and you
No,
stopped
I
it.
think because of screen mirroring, this is not recording.
Okay, so I will continue.
Okay, no
on.
problem. From, I mean, this sodium and chloride, sodium is oxidized or reduced, or chloride oxidized or reduced. What's right about this? Sodium can lose electron, by the way, lose electron oxidation, and it becomes
Positive.
positive because yes, electron is negative. Gain electron reduction becomes negative because electron is negative. And what about this? Judge, this is reduced or oxidized? More positive. So oxidized or reduced? Reduced or oxidized?
Sorry, oxidized.
Oxidized. Because in here it becomes positive. Yes. Thank you. Reduced. Oxidized. What about the chlorine? It became negative. That's why.
Reduction.
Reduced. Reduction, and it's reduced. Okay, I mean oxidation. To understand the reaction of oxidation and reduction, which reactant is oxidized or which reactant is reduced, you should follow the ion. If it became positive, oxidized. It became positive, oxidized. If it became negative, it's reduction or reduction. Now, what about the second one? Anorganic and exorganic. In here, I would like to give this example again. For the photosynthesis, carbon dioxide, water, and also light, oxygen, and glucose. Glucose is C6, H12O6. These reactions are not equal. Because of that, we should put 6, 6, and 6 in here. Now, this is the chemical equation of photosynthesis. Carbon dioxide, water, and solvent. And what about the against? I mean, this is the opposite of this reaction, or reverse of this reaction, is cellular respiration. Glucose plus oxygen in the cells. Shakhi, what about products? Can you please say products?
So this one, oxygen, carbon dioxide, and water produce
And energy. Okay, thanks.
why you are, يعني you wrote the 60 60 H2O and
Because this chemical equation is not equal, it's not balanced. In here,
you cannot change the reactant, يعني reactant is constant.
I know.
That's why you added the 6 to the
Firstly, I mean, this is the original one. For the photosynthesis, there must be 6 molecule of carbon dioxide, 6 molecule of water, and sunlight. Okay, there will produce 6 molecule oxygen, 1 molecule glucose. This is the original. I mean, this is the original chemical equation of photosynthesis. Okay, and you should follow you should look at the energy. If the energy is the reactant part, okay, listen. If the energy is in the reactant part, this is endergon. If the energy is in the product part, this is because energy releases, energy needs. Okay, energy to understand, to define the reaction endergonic or exergonic, again, you should follow the energy. Energy. Okay, if the energy this is the right. Let's check. Start export. Check. What's this? I think it's also clear. This energy. And this is the last part. Condensation and hydrolysis. Condensation and hydrolysis. In here, I think this is better. More. In here, please. You know?
Yes.
Dehydration. And also, according to our book, condensation. Both of them are same. Okay. And for condensation hydrolysis. For condensation hydrolysis, in here you should follow the water, H2O. H2O. If, I mean, this part, I mean, these are monomers, this is monomer, this is monomer, monomer plus monomer, this is polymer. As we learned, I mean, this one, monomers are simple, smaller molecules. When they combine to form a polymer, this reaction is also condensation. Because of that, wait a minute. In here, you should follow the water again, and this is the easiest way. If water is in the product part, this is condensation. And if the water is in the product part, this is hydrolysis.
So what the reactant part is hydrolysis.
Hydrolysis.
You said product.
You said products.
No, if the water is in the product part, I mean this one, this part is product part. Condensation, if water is in the reactant part, this is hydrolysis. Hydrolysis, condensation, and there are 3 reactions again. First one, what? Oxidation, reduction, endergonic, exergonic, and last one, condensation, hydrolysis. Is it clear? Any question?
No.
And also, we should know what is reactant and what is reactant and product. The left side of the reaction is
Left side,
is
hydrolysis.
no, just reactant and product.
Left side is reactants.
Left side of the reaction is reactant. Right side of the reaction is product. And in here, this part is reactant. And what about this side? Product. Okay, and 2-direction arrow. This is also important. This is two-direction arrow. Let's see it from here. The two-direction arrow indicates or shows that this chemical reaction can proceed either way, reversible. Is it clear?
Yes.
Two-direction arrow. Redox reaction, and also, by the way, reduction, the abbreviation of reduction oxidation reaction is redox, Red Bull, like Red Bull. Red comes from reduction, ox comes from oxidation, redox reaction. Abbreviation of, again in here, from 0, it became what? Positive because of oxidation, and also it became negative because of that. What? Reduction. In here, I forgot to explain this one. Inside the lungs, what? Inside the lungs, you know?
Oxyhemoglobin in those.
Inside the lungs, who would like to explain the way of oxygen from mouth or nose to the lungs? Yes.
So we breathe the air in, that's oxygen. It goes to the lungs, through the trachea. And the lungs goes to the, they call the small
branches.
Yeah, the branches.
And
And finally it goes to the blood.
alveoli.
And the alveoli take it to the blood. And next it goes to the cells, and that turns to oxyhemoglobin.
Thank you very much. In here, I would like to show you one application again. Bu artık bedava olunca böyle.
Lalo,
Lavan,
tu fizecar te più io sono mal sapro tu devi fare guardo.
again, in here, let's choose the inside the lungs. Blue one is oxygen or carbon dioxide? Blue one is oxygen, and the yellow one is carbon dioxide. And what about the inside the these are alveoli. These structures, as you see, they are. What happens when we make more exercise? Faster, and also because our body needs more oxygen. Okay, thanks. And the yellow one is, green blood vessel is vein, and red one is artery. Inside the alveoli, by the way, oxygen and carbon dioxide are exchanged. Gas exchange occurs inside the alveoli. After the gas exchange. Thanks. After the gas exchange, these are red blood cells, by the way. Red blood cells. Red blood cells have a protein which is hemoglobin. Okay, hemoglobin is a protein. By the way, hemoglobins are responsible for carrying oxygen to the cells and tissues. When oxygen combine with hemoglobin, this will be oxyhemoglobin. That's it. And then oxyhemoglobin forms. pH, I think we made an experiment. We made an activity about that. Less than 7 is
Acid.
Hijab, less than 7 is this side. Less than 7 is acidic. More than 7 is
Basic.
basic. Thanks.
hydroxide
7 is
for
7 is
normal.
neutral.
Not written, not
What about the buffers? Buffers are chemical substances that neutralize small.
Which one was hydroxide basic or acidic? Hydroxide.
Hydroxide,
Yes.
hydroxide.
hydronium and hydroxide. I think hydronium is what? Acidic. Hydroxide is basic, isn't it?
Always check.
Hydronium is basic, acidic. Yes, hydronium is basic. Hydroxide is acidic, I think. And the buffers are so important because inside our body, some regions are acidic, some regions are basic. And then exergonic and endergonic we have passed. Activation energy is important. There are some questions about the activation energy. The amount of energy is needed to start the reaction. This is activation energy. And catalysts reduce.
The amount of activation energy.
Yes, and also enzymes are also catalysts. These are there's a suffix for what for enzymes ase. Protease is an enzyme which is responsible for breaking down of proteins.
Yes.
Okay, sucrose is the table sugar which is made up of glucose plus fructose. What is the enzyme of sucrose? Sucrase. And in here, this graph is important. And again, also if you want, you can note there are some questions about this graph. Energy needed without catalyst because catalysts are responsible for reducing the activation energy. Energy needed with a catalyst, as you see in here. Less energy is needed
With a catalyst.
if there's a catalyst.
Yes.
Okay. This is important. Water. There are so many questions about the water. Water is polar because what?
It contains.
Just choose one negative and
Yes.
one positive.
Oxygen is positive, negative, and hydrogens are positive. If one side is in here, the water molecule has a positive side and negative side. Because of that, polar. And lipids are non-polar or polar. By the way, today we have
Non-polar.
lipids are non-polar. Because of that, lipids do not dissolve in water.
Yes.
Water is polar. Lipids are non-polar. Because of that, there's no any mixing. Okay, thanks.
Does it dissolve in oil?
No, in lipids can dissolve in lipids. Or, and lipids is a general name, and lipids are lipids contain oils and fats. And okay, we will learn the classification of. We have passed in the other classes. Okay, in here again, hydrogen bond. This is important. As you know, water is made up of one oxygen and two hydrogen molecules.
Yes.
And these are one oxygen and two hydrogen. These are water molecules. Between water molecules, there's a bond which is called hydrogen bond. And hydrogen bond, there are some new terms, adhesion and cohesion. Adhesion, cohesion is an attractive force between two similar substances. What about the adhesion? Two different. And capillarity. Capillarity is so important. And
Against the gravity.
Against gravity. Adhesion together, adhesion and cohesion enable water molecules to rise up or to go up. And also, if you remember, I showed you this. Between, by the way, let's edit. In here, everybody, please look at the word. In here, what? Again, Lavan, prepare your card. Okay, I have to buy this. In here, this is important. These are water molecules, huh? Water molecule, water, and between water molecules, there's an attractive force bond like this hydrogen bond. Hydrogen bond is an example of cohesion or adhesion. Huh? Cohesion, because they are same, water and water. Between water molecules and the cell wall, there's another attraction force. This is adhesion. Okay, this is adhesion. And also we made an activity in the biology lab for the capillarity of water.
Yes, we do.
Adhesion, cohesion. We use tissue and some food coloring water. Okay, I think this part is clear. And again, hydrogen bond. Capillarity, this property is known as capillarity. Organic compound, in here we learned the classification of compounds. Compounds are divided into two main groups, organic and inorganic. The main difference between organic and inorganic, the absence of what? Carbon. Organic compounds contain carbon, inorganic compounds do not have. And in here we should know what is ionic bond, what's covalent bond. This is also important. Ionic bond, there are two ways to, especially this way. Wait a minute. Sharing of electron, I have to, please, this way is important. This sharing of electron, if two reactants, okay, in here, two reactants and two atoms, if they share their electrons and also there will be a bond, this is covalent bond, okay? If, what about ionic bond? In here, there are two reactants. If one reactant gives its electron to another atom, a transfer of electron, this will be ionic bond. Basically, you have to know sharing of electron is covalent, transfer of electron is what? Ionic. In here, there are so many questions.
If you just send this video to a group, we finish.
Ionic, covalent, carbohydrates. Which is this? I couldn't find it. Okay, anyway, sharing of electron is again covalent, transfer of electron. In here again, carbon bonding. These are properties of carbon. Carbon is the element found in all living things, and also there is a branch of chemistry which is organic chemistry. At the center, carbon is at the center of the organic chemistry. Because carbon has 4 valence electrons, it can gain, lose, or share electrons. Carbon can combine with itself and other elements in many ways. And also last one, it can form straight chain, and these are straight chain, and another one, branch chain, and also ring. This is also important. Organic compounds, types of organic compounds. We will learn firstly carbohydrates, lipids, proteins, and nucleic acids, because they all have carbon. What about inorganic compounds? Vitamins, there is no carbon. Water, there is no H2O, there is no water. Minerals, salt, sodium, chlorine. By the way, this is not the carbon. Okay. And these are acid base. You can add if you want acid base. And the functional group is also important. Functional group determines the characteristics of the compound. In here, This is the definition of functional group. Responsible, a group of atoms responsible for the characteristic reaction of a particular compound. In here, you should know this definition and the functional group of alcohol. The functional group of alcohol is hydroxyl group or OH. Okay, this is important.
Can you say functional group is responsible for a reaction of the compound?
It's like nickname, it's like name of the compound. Okay, for example, in here, I would like to show you the functional group of amino acids. The functional group of amino acids is, what was that?
Yes.
NH2. Amine group is the functional group of what? Protein, amino acid. This is the definition of the functional group. I know. You should know this definition. A group of atoms responsible for the characteristic reaction of particular compound. Also, it's like name. I mean, it's like nickname of the molecule. And alcohol, hydroxyl, is the functional group of alcohol. Again, we classified chemical reactions: oxidation reaction, exergonic, endergonic, and condensation, hydrolysis. In here, there are some new terms. Again, monomer, simple molecules, simple basic molecules. Polymer, monomers combine to form polymers.
It's important to know what's methanol.
No. The definition of this is not a chemistry lesson. This is biology. And the monomer, mono, and also what? Number prefixes: mono, D3, tetra, penta, and from 1 to 5, I think it's enough for biology. From 1 to mono, D3, tetra, penta. Okay, and monomers. I mean, these are simple molecules, as you see. Simple molecules. If they combine, this will be polymer. Okay, and this reaction is condensation. I explained the condensation reaction. And again, for the condensation reaction or condensation or hydrolysis, you should follow the water. Okay, if water is in the reactant part, this is hydrolysis. Reactant. If water is in the product side, condensation. If water is in the reactant, hydrolysis. If water is in the product, condensation. Thanks. And ATP, adenosine triphosphate. We have learned what is tri mono D3. Adenosine, basically, adenosine. This picture is better, I think, to explain, to teach what is ATP. ATP is made up of one adenine base, and we will learn what's adenine in the nucleic acid, in the section of nucleic acids. Now you should know just adenine is a base, and ribose is a sugar. Ribose is a kind of 5-carbon sugar. And in here, everybody, you should know these groups, phosphate groups, ATP. Huh?
No.
I think it's not the functional group, but in here, the one of the most important part in here, ATP. ATP has 3 phosphate groups, and also each phosphate group in here, each phosphate group has high energy, and when our body needs energy, and this energy, these phosphate bonds will be broken down, and also energy will produce. Energy is produced when these bonds are broken down. Okay, phosphate bond. There's a question in the question about this part. ATP has 3 phosphate group because adenosine 3 phosphate, triphosphate, 3 mono D3. What happens one phosphate group is left.
It becomes ADP.
ADP, adenosine diphosphate. Another one also
Mono.
mono in here. Adenosine monophosphate, boron. Adenosine monophosphate, diphosphate, and triphosphate. Thanks. Yes, go. For the carbohydrates, this is important, I think. Again, firstly, we have learned the organic compounds. Firstly, carbohydrates, lipids, proteins, and nucleic acids. First organic compound, carbohydrates, sugars, everybody. These are sugars, okay? Monosaccharides. Disaccharides and polysaccharides. They are classes of the carbohydrates, sugars, okay? And the carbohydrates are divided into three main groups. Again, monosaccharides, disaccharide and polysaccharides. Mono, D3 instead of 3.
But
Poly is a
is
kind
more
of,
than-
yes, poly is a kind of prefix, also many. Mono, 1, D. Monosaccharides are known as simple sugars.
Milk sugar.
No, basically, this class is known as simple sugars. Disaccharides, double sugars. Polysaccharides, complex
So
sugars.
teacher, can we say that?
For each class, for each group, we have 3 examples. Okay, 3 examples. First one, let's get started from the monosaccharides. Glucose, fructose, and galactose. These are monosaccharides. And they are simple sugars. Disaccharides and polysaccharides are made up of monosaccharides. They are monomers of the carbohydrates. Okay. I know. And the glucose, fructose, and galactose, these are monosaccharides. Fructose, simple sugar. Thanks. Fructose is known as fruit sugar, and galactose is known as milk sugar. Glucose is mostly found in honey and raisin. Okay, raisins. And in Kurdish, raisins in Kurdish. No. Mevish. Dried grape, huh?
Right, yes.
No.
We should buy a kind of tripod, huh?
Yes.
It's too better. And also disaccharides, double sugars. In here, by the way, I forgot to say, no need to memorize. In here, sakkar, sugar, şeker.
This examples maltose.
Oh, whatever.
Of course.
These are so important. Maltose,
So the maltose and the lactose isn't written in the book, just saccharose.
yes, you are right. Saccharose is table sugar, tea sugar, and also which is made up of glucose plus fructose. Lactose is glucose plus galactose because, as I said, galactose is known as milk sugar. Milk and yogurt, they are so close, as you know. And glucose plus galactose, and maltose, glucose plus galactose. Glucose plus glucose. In here, polysaccharides, starch and fibers. There's a question about this part. Starch and fiber, and also in our book, instead of fiber, cellulose. Starch and cellulose, they are in. Thanks. Yes, okay.
Starch.
Nishasta. Starch and cellulose, they are in plants, but glycogen is in animals and humans. Don't forget this one. And in here, there are some monosaccharides. The general formula of the what? Carbohydrate CH2 O6 N, and
it's from between
can be
3 to 6.
any number from 3 to. And there's another term. I think there's no question about the isomer, but I think we should know isomer. Glucose, fructose, and galactose, they have same formula, but different forms. In here, hydroxyl group are same. Hydroxyl group is same in glucose and fructose. What about the galactose? opposite. And also, this molecule is same in galactose and glucose. What about the fructose? Isomer, the definition of isomer, single chemical formula but different forms, glucose, fructose and galactose, these are isomers. Polysaccharides, again, there's a question about the glycogen. Again, glycogen consists of hundreds of glucose molecules, this sentence is important, and cellulose and also fibers, which give strength and rigidity to plant cells. This is also important. Disaccharides, double sugars, polysaccharides, complex sugars. And proteins.
Finish.
So we didn't learn this.
Ah,
We didn't learn.
tamam. These
Also,
are
what's the
Did he learn
definition
it?
for 20?
Huh?
You can go on if he didn't. He learned it.
Shall we go? That's enough, I think. I am tired.